So now, as we talked about in the beginning of the show, the big news that has been dominating the NBA sports world for the past couple weeks now, Kevin Durant has reportedly requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. He told the owner and Sean Marks, hey, get me up out of here. Kyrie Irving reportedly has his sights set on the Lakers, whether that's via trade or signing with the team in the next year's free agency period. So I wanted to ask you guys this question. Is KD right or wrong for wanting out of Brooklyn? Now, it's been reported his two preferred teams are the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns, and you can see Kane right there just has a big-ass smile on his face as soon as I mention his team.
Yes.
But I want to ask you guys this question. Is KD right or wrong for wanting out of Brooklyn, especially with all that happened last year? And should the Nets stand pat and not trade him, or should they look for the best possible deal to get Durant, whether it leads him not going to the team that he preferred to be traded to? Kyle, you go first.
First of all, I think that to say, is it right for a player to request a team? I think that's all subjective. You know, we can't judge or speak for a player and what their issues are, whatever they may be. On the outside looking in, of course, we can say, oh, you know, he's right, he's wrong for doing this. He damn right, he should have done that, whatever. But I don't think it's a matter of right or wrong. I think it's a matter of, is it the right time? You know, how much leverage does he have? You know, you just signed this, you know, you've got 4 years on a pretty much new deal. You're going to be 34 shortly. You know, you got this max contract, and you know, you put your team in a bind in terms of finding a taker for that. I think the timing is wrong, and I'm you know, there's a whole lot of speculation as far as why he wants out. You know, I don't think it's all, you know, oh, you're not treating my friend right, so I don't want to be here anymore. I'm sure there's other things that we don't know about, but I don't think it's right or wrong. Now, you know, whether or not you can actually find a taker for that, and you know, in terms of like what a team is going to have to give up to get him, to somebody who's going to be on a, you know, at the end of his deal, 38 years old, you know, I don't know. Are we talking about what was the rest of the other part of that question? I'm sorry. Was
should Brooklyn
should the Nets stand pat?
Yeah,
I think they should. They have the leverage. They have the leverage. You know, I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to sit out a season and protest in the you know, a la Ben Simmons or some phantom injury like Mr. Party Guy Harden. But I do feel like they don't have to rush into anything. They're not obligated to do anything, you know. And I do think that, you know, it's kind of exaggerated to say that you know, I read somewhere that the league and free agency is kind of being put on pause because of this. You know, most of the deals have already been made. The only one waiting to land somewhere significant player wise, you know, is Ayton, DeAndre Ayton. So, you know, I don't see this being something that should hold up everybody's moves. You know, I see that I think the Nets are probably going to want to stand pat, and they're probably going to want to see if they can work this out. You know, see if Kyrie stays on his best behavior with his, you know, final, you know, with this season, for this season, and see if KD will change his mind or be a little more flexible.
Well, as far as, I mean, me being a Phoenix fan, I have to reiterate, I have to make sure everybody understands that.
Really? I didn't even notice that.
That's right.
Yeah, who knew?
Because as far as, I don't need anything from the peanut gallery right now. No, as far as whether he's right or wrong, it's really 3 answers. If he lands on the Suns, he's right for requesting a trade.
Who would have
If he lands
known?
in Miami,
Wow.
he's wrong. And if he stays in Brooklyn, I don't care.
Oh,
You know,
well, okay.
It's that simple. As far as whether the Nets, from their standpoint, from business standpoint, should stand pat, yeah, probably, because I don't see what the Suns, I mean, realistically speaking, what the Suns have to give up to get KD. You know, I mean, they're not going to get rid of Booker. So, you know, like, what are they going to be able to give to get him? I think, Kyle, you had mentioned off camera last week that they would have to literally involve a third team. You know, if that's the case, that's a huge X factor. So I don't know. I mean, fingers crossed he lands in Phoenix, but, you know, I don't know how that happens at this point. As far as the Heat, you know, I don't want him to go there. Just Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant, that's
mean guys.
Headache. Yeah. yeah. Miami Twitter fingers.
Let me not say mean. Let's say moody. How about that? That's better.
Moody guys. Yeah, the Miami Moody Heat. But yeah, I mean, if he goes to the Suns, I'm all for it. But as far as the Nets, I mean, look, business-wise, they should stand pat because, like Kyle said, they have the leverage. And, you know, what are they getting in return for a player of KD's stature? You know, that has to be a huge deal and make it worth it for them. Although I will say, because I'm still thinking about Ben Simmons from last year, and it's like that's what happens when you keep a guy on your team that wants to leave. I don't think KD is going to be that unprofessional, but is he going to give? Do we know he's going to give the 110% to the Knicks? You know, and if he's not, you know, is it worth it? The Nets. If he's not, then is it worth it to keep him? You know, that's an X factor right there. You know.
Yeah, that might be part of it. But I just think that at that point, you know, you also don't want to come across as like devaluing yourself either by like, you know, suddenly you go from being a 30+ scorer and an elite scorer in the league and one of the best, if not the best. The word on the street is, but you know, you go down to what, you know, you're playing, you know, so many, you know, half the games or taking rest days and scoring 15 again. You know, you don't want to devalue yourself either. So I think he'll continue to do what he's you know, really desires and what his passion is, which is to ball out.
Yeah,
wherever it is.
True. I guess it depends on what their goal is for next year. If they want to stay in champion contention or, you know, rebuild, or I don't know what they want to do, because it seems like things fell apart. That's got to be a blow to chemistry.
That's like playing a giant Jenga and it all falls down. All I would like to wow.
That's what it seems like happened to me. You know, like I really thought they were in the top 3 teams, you know, and
everyone did.
Yeah. And it just fell apart. So at this point, like with Kyrie wanting out, you know, and KD wanting out, it's like the chemistry has got to be taking a beating in Brooklyn, you know. And
the morale.
Yeah, the team morale, exactly. You know,
it's like,
yeah, that's got to be.
I don't want to be. This party sucks.
Yeah, I want to get out of here. You know?
So you got stale chips and store brand soda, man. I don't want to get here.
Yeah, so like if I was in a position of keeping people that didn't want to be versus, you know, rebuilding with people that did want to be part of the franchise, you know, I'd pick rebuilding every day because, you know, are you going to win a championship with low morale? Like, I don't know. It depends on what their goals are, though. If their goals are to put butts in seats, I mean, KD will do that for you. Right. You know, so I don't know.
I know this has been talked about constantly ad nauseum for the past 2 weeks. I stopped watching no sports debate shows because it seemed like there was nothing else for them to talk about. But I'm going to take 2 sides here, 2 different perspectives. One on KD's side. Now, a lot of people has been calling Kevin Durant, he runs away from challenge, calling him a punk, he's weak, he's this and that. I disagree with terms of that notion because when they first assembled the big 3, their plans was to keep all 3 of them. Now, we had party pooper James Harden thought the strip clubs was more important than playing basketball. He quits on his 2nd straight team in a row and goes and jets his behind to Philly to play alongside Joel Embiid. Kevin Durant was the first one out of the big 3, now the big 2, to sign that extension. He said, you know what, Brooklyn, I'm happy here. I want to continue to play basketball here. I'm giving you my signature for 4 more years committed. KD, with the whole, especially with everything that happened last year, he was really the only one that was committed to playing basketball for Brooklyn. James Harden quit on them. Kyrie Irving can only play road games because of the mandate. Who was left to hold the rope and have the majority of the weight brought down on his shoulders was Kevin Durant. And he didn't complain. He didn't say, nah, get me up out of here like somebody did. So he did his part. He said, listen, I played basketball. I gave you guys commitment. He never cheated Brooklyn. He showed up to games. He showed up to practice. He gave it his all. And he was the first person, as I said, to sign that long-term extension out of the big three. So we all make mistakes in life. You ever see, like, you guys get a new job, or you know, if I get a new job and I was like, you know what, this ain't cutting for me. Say I'm working at Amazon, then I go from Amazon to Google. Google's paying me more money. The environment's a little bit better. Then say a couple years down the line, I was like, you know what, I want something else a little bit better. I go to Samsung. Oh, Samsung, you know, better work environment, a little bit more money than Google. NBA players, everybody who knows that NBA is a player-driven league. Players moving left and right has been an issue. Now, for people calling out Kevin Durant because he wants out, I'm like, well, everything that he had to deal with last year, he was the only one to hold the rope. He held his end of the bargain down to the T. So we need to stop all the narrative pushing stuff like, oh, KD doesn't want this, KD doesn't want that. But as you guys talked about from a business standpoint, the Nets could just be like, hey, listen, no, cool, you want to trade? We'll see you in the Brooklyn Nets uniform come October. Because KD messed up. He signed that 4-year extension. Just how when you have a business, you have agreement, you handshake, your word is your bond. You signed your name on the dotted line for 4 more years. The owner, Joe Tsai, is paying you $195 million over the next 4 years out of his own money that he said, all right, KD, we're going to continue to build this franchise around you. You are a centerpiece. You are the leader. Here's all that money. What else do you want us to do to continue to put the best possible players and pieces around you to contend at the highest level for the championship? Now, I could see where narratives are being drawn because it's like you have the 2 number 1 seeded teams in their each respective conference as your preferred team that you want to get traded to. Now people can say, well, Katie, you don't like a challenge. You left you left OKC to go to Golden State, the team that beat you when you were up 3-1 on them. So you couldn't beat them. You joined them. You win 2 championships back-to-back in a row. Should have been 3 if you didn't get hurt. So you leave them because you wasn't getting the same love and adulation that Steph Curry was because he was homegrown. So you said, you know what? Let me go to my own team. Let me go to Brooklyn, start a culture there, see if I can win a title without Steph Curry because that narrative has been out there. It didn't work out past 2 years. Really, you only had 2 years there. The first year of rehabbing. For only 2 years there, you were there. Golden State wins the title without you. It is so funny and quote-unquote convenient how the year the Golden State Warriors win the championship without Kevin Durant, he all of a sudden decides, well, you know what? I want out. I want to go see the Phoenix or I want to go to Miami. And apparently it's reported out there he only wants to go to Phoenix if Chris Paul, if Devin Booker is there. He only wants to go to Miami if Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, if Bam Adebayo is still there. You're just like, dude, do you not want competition? Do you not want to face against the best of the best players? Like, okay, we killed you because you joined the team that beat you when you were up 3-1 on them. You got 2 championships. You were the reason why they won those 2 championships. You were the finals MVP. All of a sudden, you weren't happy. You were moody for some reason, whatever. You left. You got to your own team. They have almost given you everything that you wanted. They acquiesce to every demand that you have presented to them, and then it's still not good enough. It's like KD comes off as a person who cares too much. He's more worried about Twitter fingers than actually playing basketball. Like, come on, like, oh, you're worried about the person that, dude, just go out there. You're a hooper. Just go out there and hoop. You're making more money than practically, 99% of the people. You say basketball is your safe haven, but yet you're prying to people on Twitter left and right. This is exactly why I do not want to hear no more Kevin Durant, LeBron James comparisons. LeBron James, you could say, well, he jumps ship from team to team. He fulfilled his contract. He left the team in free agency. He did not request a trade 1 year into a new deal. He said, you know what, I'm going to sit. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to play out this year. I'm going to give the team my all. When I become a free agent, I could go wherever the hell I please. But KD, not even a year into your extension, you want out mainly because of the mess that you helped create. Doesn't look good for him. And if he apparently goes back to get traded to Golden State because it's looking like reports they have the most assets to get him, are you really gonna decimate your future and all your draft picks to get a 34-year-old when everybody else, Steph, Clay, and Draymond are in the early 30s? Your title, you're gonna shorten your title window just to bring back a guy who left you for free.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, that I definitely, it's no secret I'm a Golden State fan, but I definitely would not want to see them gut their core to get KD back. So I'm 2 thumbs down plus on that. I just want to run back a couple of points that you made in your comparisons. For the average man like us, exploring the job market, going from job and what you think is an upgrade over that job salary wise and quality, et cetera, is not quite the same as someone who is contracted to be somewhere and paid hundreds of millions of dollars to be there. You know what I mean? So for him to move around is very different than from us moving around from day jobs or salary jobs or hourly wage jobs. The comparison with LeBron and KD, the difference for me that jumps out is in that regard is that LeBron intentionally signs short deals. So he does have that flexibility to move around. So if he doesn't feel, if he's not feeling what's happening with the team, guess what? And he can't get his friends his super friends to join him, then he's going to go somewhere else. So that's what he has been doing. And it looks like he might do it now, because if he's, if he doesn't get what he wants in LA, guess what? He's not on a long-term deal. There's not much more, left there for him in that, in his original deal. So the most recent deal. So, that's the only thing that jumps out at me. I'm not defending anybody in this storyline. I'm just saying that, the comparisons are similar, but not the same.
But okay, here's my rebuttal for that. For LeBron James, don't you think that's smart as LeBron James, the businessman, now the billionaire businessman, to say, I'm going to keep my flexibility open? Because if you sign a long-term deal with the team, you are pretty much at the team's mercy.
Absolutely.
Just how Kevin Durant is. He signed a 4-year, no trade clause with the Brooklyn Nets. And he could say, hey, I want to go to Phoenix or Miami. They could say, we could trade you to wherever you want because you signed a 4-year extension with us. Right. 4 years you locked up, no trade clause.
I don't know if you misunderstood me. I'm not bashing LeBron James, and I'm not defending either one of them. I'm saying, yes, this is the difference is that LeBron James intentionally signs short-term deals. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. If you got it, do it. Hey, man, if that's how it works out for you and you're able to, go ahead. Sure. I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing to do. I think it should be, there should be some kind of flexibility, but just imagine the chaos every time, every couple of years, if every player had the option to, superstar player had the option of doing that. Like, wow, there'd be movement every season at one time or another. And, let's not forget about
right now to a certain degree. Yeah.
Yeah. But, let's think about how, the players that sign these supermax deals and then say, I want to pack my bag and leave. You know what I mean? People like Ben Simmons come to mind. It's like, you can't sign, whatever, and then say, oh no, people were booing me. People were bashing me online. I want to leave. It's things like that. There's got to be some kind of ramifications for some kind of penalty or whatever the case may be that the league can impose for players who get signed to supermax extensions, supermax contracts, and then say, oh, well, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm taking my ball and going somewhere else. I want to join my friends. It's not right.
Well, they have been said that they've been talking about that that there's going to be possibly the next conversations when the next CBA is up, that the owner is going to be like, hey, listen, we've been signing our franchise players, one of our all-star players, to these max contract extensions. And in a year into their contract extension, they tell us they want out. And now we have to trade them to get whatever we can for them. But here's my little pushback for that. Owners do that 10 times worse. How many times GMs, team owners trade players that they recently signed to contract extensions, and then a year or two later they part ways with them, whether they buy them out, trade them, whatever. Kevin Huerter comes to mind. He just signed an extension with the Atlanta Hawks last year. Now he's playing for the Sacramento Kings. You know, I'm talking about Patrick Beverley signed an extension with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're like, hey, Pat, thank you for helping us get into the playoffs. You know, you were a big part of that. Here's a 1 year, $13 million extension. And then 2 months later, we're shipping you off to Utah. So it was like, okay, the team owners and the general managers could do what's in the best interest for the team, which is rightfully so. That's your job. But when the player wants to do what's in the best interest for him, they get killed. I don't like that hypocritical ass shit at all. That's a double standard that should not fly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think double standards are right, but I also feel like, you know, you're talking. You mentioned Pat Bev's extension of 13 mil versus, you know, I'm talking about supermax contracts. You know what I mean? You can eat 13 mil. You can package that with something. Which, by the way, Patrick Beverley is never the key piece of any trade. Every single time he's been traded. You know, I'm talking about someone who signs north of $200 million, or at least in the vicinity of $200 million, and then says, oh, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. That's a totally different deal than a team ownership or whatever the case may be saying, oh, you know what, we're going to package this guy, even though we just signed him to an extension, a 1 year extension versus a 4 year supermax deal. And we want to ship him somewhere else to get what we think is better for our team. I think that's just two different. The numbers don't match. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but here's an example. When John Wall signed that mega extension with the Wizards, gets traded to the Houston Rockets, and in the past year, Houston say, hey, John Wall, we don't want you to play any games. We're going to make you sit out. You're still going to get your money, and we're going to try to find a new team for you to go because we're going in a different direction. How many times John Wall was getting killed? It was like, yo, John Wall is making $47 million and hasn't played one game. He finessed the system. No, he didn't. The team told him not to play. They didn't want him to play.
Well, first of all, he has some good clothes. And I'm sorry. I mean,
when you're making 47 mil, you should have good clothes now.
I'm actually sorry that I did not include him on my all street clothes team. I don't know how that happened, but we'll make up for it next time around. But
no, he should get an exception, man. The team told him not to play.
But the other part of that is that he was coming off an injury. So it's like, you know, they want to make sure that he, you know, did not re-aggravate something, God forbid, and devalue himself, even, you know, his talents or his worth even more in the league's eyes. So, you know, it's not the same thing as like, oh, he was ready, you know, he was good to go, and you know, they were trying to, I guess, whatever the reasons were, they were trying to preserve him, whether they were trying to protect him, wrap him in bubble wrap. I don't know what it is, but you know, John Wall's, you know, he's good. He's not who he was 5 years ago, but you know, I wouldn't compare him now to, you know, put him in conversation with a Kevin Durant or you know, anybody else, you know, Nikola, you know, Mr. Moneybags over, you know, I wouldn't do that, you know, in this case.
No, but we're talking about terms where, and he was healthy to play because he played in the beginning part of the season when that whole James Harden drama was going on, and DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall pretty much called him out. So he was playing. They were just like, hey, you know what? We're going to go in a different direction. John Wall, we don't want you to play. Here's your money. And then he ended up going to a really good contending team in the Clippers. But that's just one part. Another example I could give was a couple years ago when Andre Drummond was on the Cavs, and they sat him out. I was like, hey, Drummond, we're going to try to trade you. So it was like owners, team owners, and general managers could do what's in the best interest for the team, which is their job duty. But when a player decides, hey, I want to do what's in the best interest for myself, just how you are an organization, you are a brand, I'm a brand too. And I don't feel like I don't have my best chances to win here. I don't look to play somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Now,
Worlds, I'm not disagreeing.
yeah,
I don't know if you
we're not
understand that
arguing.
I'm not
Yeah, no,
disagreeing
I'm
with
just
you
saying.
in any of
I'm
this.
just giving examples, but to people who are watching this out there and listening, to try to, hey, we need to stop with this narrative that all these idiotic media, mainstream media people are trying to portray. Players shouldn't be doing this. No, players should be doing this because owners do it and nobody says shit about it. But when players do it, it's all of a sudden World War III. Like, hold on, what's with the hypocritical ass bullshit here? I don't get that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to do what's in the best interest of you at the end of the day. You yourself, Kyle, you are an enterprise within itself. You are the founder and current president of Ray Multimedia. You're going to do what's in the best interest of your company, right?
Yes.
Okay. Same thing with Kane. Kane has founded Pharaoh Tech and Inception Life Fitness. He's going to do what's in the best interest for his brand, Solo, and his companies. I'm founded this, Hoops All In and Talk That Smoke podcast. Obviously, we're all together as a team under you, but we all going to do what's in the best interest for our thing. We want to do it together as a team. We want to rise together as a team, but we got to do the best. We got to do what's in the best interest of ourselves. That's all I'm saying. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just pointing out the examples. That's all.
I'm just
But
saying.
to look at it that way, then the Nets, see, because Kyle does the balancing act where he makes sure that we're getting what we need
Yeah.
from our association with the team. You know what I mean? But are the Nets doing it? Because like I feel like the only motivation KD has at this point, because I don't think any of these guys, once you get to that point, are playing for money anymore. You know what I mean? I think it's legacy now. And legacy in the NBA means championships. And I think he's just trying to set himself up to knock down some rings, you know, and if the Nets aren't able to provide that for him, I think he's just looking to move on to what, you know, like if we were sending, you know, like you said, we're all brands of our own, but we're operating under the larger umbrella that Kyle set up, right?
Yeah. And Kyle is a great president, by the way.
Absolutely, he is. But if we were, because he does respond to our needs, and that's the truth. You know, I'm not saying it's conditional or not, Kyle. I love you regardless. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys know this, but we're actually family. I got no choice but to love.
Oh, you have a choice.
But in all seriousness, just because we like the guy, if it was a bad business move for our individual brands and what we're trying to get out of the situation, you know what I mean? Then we got to make the move. And I would expect that, you know, Kyle, as a businessman, would understand and respect that. We're in a good situation. Unless KD doesn't feel like he is, you know.
Unless I say, hey, here's $200 million. Oh, wait, what? You think you're going somewhere? I'm locking every door.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Is KD still doing this for the money at this point? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well,
$200 million to me.
Then let them then let him go to Josai and restructure his contract. Then how about that?
But that's the thing. That's a good point, Kane. But if he's not doing this for the money, then he should have just stayed in Golden State to continue to rack up his legacy. To continue.
I don't
know
why he left Golden State because, like I said, I remember we had this conversation before, and I was ragging on the guy because I was like, I feel like he left Golden State because so much of the media was saying, well, you can't win it on your own. You left Oklahoma City. But KD's never.
But then what did he do? He brought one of his best buddies, like one of the best players in the league, with him to Brooklyn.
Okay. I'm not even saying the media was wrong. I'm saying my reaction to why I feel like he left Golden State. That's why I ragged on the guy, because it's like, I don't care what the media says. You know what I mean? Like, I care about what, like, you know, you as a person with character decides to do what's best for you. If he was come out and say, look, you know, here's my priority, I want to win more championships, then he should be making decisions to follow through on that. If that was, where else I agree with you. Wow. You know, that's going to happen.
Wow. I can't believe it's not.
I don't know how often I even say those words. It sounded weird coming out of my mouth. No, I agree with you. If he was after, if he was after a legacy, Golden State was the place to do that. You know, but he listened to the media talking about he can't win without Steph Curry and, you know, the Warriors. So it's like, I agree with you 100%. But I don't know what his motivations are at this point. If it's money, he's
Nobody
getting that
knows
in
what
Brooklyn.
KD's motivations
Yeah.
are. He's such a weird dude from looking on the outside in. It's like, dude, what is your
What's
Yeah.
your deal?
what is your aura?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, like, we have I really liked your comparison because we have our motivations as individuals and as a team, and we have all communicated that with each other. And Kyle keeps all of that. And we're like, a bunch of star players with a really good coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it works for us. I love the comparison. But the difference between us and KD is, like you said, nobody knows what he wants. Like, everybody knows what we want out of our deals. Like, what does the guy want? Does he want championships or money? He's got money already. Like, I don't get it.